Anyway, so I was excluded for a day, a week, a term, a year. And then what happened is the teachers, they just got so fed up of me, they just said, you know what, you're not coming back to the school. And at that point, when they said, you're not coming back to the school, something happened inside me. I actually started to feel sorry for myself. I actually started to say to me, but I like this organization. My friends are here. I actually like the fact that I could wind the teachers up, but I just didn't know how to do it in a constructive way. Does that make sense? So I had questions to ask. I had to be popular. I was very popular in school. You know, I was always the one that was cracking the joke. I was always the one that the teachers would say, that's very funny, now get out. Yeah? And so I started to realize where I'd gone wrong. But it was too late for me just then, because I ended up on the streets hanging around with those other people. And to cut a long story short, I actually ended up in prison. And I ended up in prison for I think it was about 13 or 14 offenses, which happened in the space of 6 months. Yeah? So what does that tell you about my life? When I left school, I was outside of the organization, and then I was let wild into the world. I couldn't cope. So what did I do? Start to get into trouble. Yeah? So I ended up in prison for 13 offenses, which actually, if I'd remember, I would have bought my CRB in, which is it's like a comic book. Now when I go into organizations, they go, have you been in trouble? And I go, which one would you like to see? But the important thing I'm saying to you is that when I came out of prison, I had the opportunity to change my life around. And so I decided that everything that was said against me when I was growing up, all of those people that said you couldn't do anything, I had to prove them wrong. And I had to make my own life, because when I realized by sitting in the prison cell was that there was no friends there. There were no teachers there. My parents, I didn't see my parents for 6 weeks. Yeah? They weren't there. It was just me and other people who were in there for the same thing, which means that it was a very, very volatile situation. Lots of fights happening, lots of stabbings, things like that happening around you. Now, for me, making that decision, and this is why some of you are here, and this is why I always tell that story, because you get to a point in your life where you have to make a decision. Your exclusions can end, right? Yeah? Your exclusions can end. It's entirely up to you whether or not you make bad decisions.